All right, so today we have Simon, who is a former police officer in the UK, and he is in my 911 Elite Performance program. And today we are going to be talking with Simon about how he was beforehand and where he is at now. Just so that you do know, he's not finished the program. We're still working on things in the program, but we're going to really be talking and digging into you know, where he was before the program, because I think you'll find it very interesting how we met, and how things what's the word, transpired in order for us to be working together. So Simon, if you would like to introduce yourself to everybody, tell us a little bit about your policing career. You had a really long, amazing career. So if you could tell us all about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Hello, everybody. I was a police officer in the UK for 27 years. I started off in uniform, a seaside town called Weston-super-Mare. I was there for 3 years. I moved up to our nearest city, which is Bristol, and I served there for another 2.5 years before coming down into the county and serving at a smaller town called Bridgewater, which is quite rough at times, but good fun to work. I then specialised in the what is known here as the support group, but we're a specialised search and evidence recovery team, and specialist search skills, the searching premises before royal visits and what have you. I then went from that to the traffic department. I served on the traffic department for 3.5 years before coming back to my first love, which is uniform, where I stayed for the remainder of my career in a town called Taunton, both on the town centre team and then latterly the prisoner handling team, doing the interviews for sort of suspect interviews and things like that. All in all, I had a great career, which I'm very, very proud of. And I've been retired out now for the last 5 years.
5 years, okay. And um, do you mind me asking, why is it that you decided to retire?
Um, I ultimately, without going into too much detail, I developed post-traumatic stress disorder, and it was suggested that with only 3 years to go, that I could go at that time on what's known over here as a medical pension. So I took the decision, although it was very hard, to leave policing, to come away and look after my young family.
Yeah. So you have 4 kids, and um, so I know that it's very busy at home, and having the kids at home your with your energy. Tell me how that was, how it was when you were on medical leave, and like what symptoms were you experiencing physically, and how was that affecting things at home?
Well, it was a combination of things, really. I was exposed to a huge amount of brain fog, very low energy. I mean, throughout my career, I'd kept very physically fit, but it was as if a switch had been thrown when I left the police and when I was on medical leave. Um, that I thought, well, what have we got to do to get fit for? So that side of it began to slip, and I just descended really into just unpleasantness, of flashbacks with the sort of things, and you know, um, just very, like I say, very low energy, few gut issues, um, but mainly having the kids at home, although it was really, really good, and it was really wonderful to have them here. I just didn't have the energy to give them as much as I could give, if that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like I recall too, when I was in my burnout as well, I just, as much as I wanted to be active and participating, and I mean, I know you, and your world is your kids. And
Yeah.
and that's the same as me. And for us, just not being able to um, have that motivation and drive and the brain power to even sit and even read or answer questions with them,
Yeah.
let alone go and be physically active, which is what I know after speaking with you as well, that is what you and I both always dreamed of what we would do as parents.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It
Yeah.
was very
And
difficult.
yeah. And so with that, let's kind of dig into when we met. So I don't know, would you like to tell it or do you want me to tell?
I'll tell it if you like.
Okay.
I I, I I was on Facebook at the time, and I was I was undergoing a very low mood, very difficult time, and I saw your 911 elite responders group and how you all seemed to be in a place which was really good in preventing the burnout and you know really thriving. And I thought, being a typically cynical British police officer, I thought, well, how does that work then? How are you so much better than me? And I remember leaving a bit of a chippy comment on the group, and that really sparked us off talking, because I remember you said, well, hang on a minute, what are you going through? What's going on for you? And I was like, well, okay. I mean, I tried most types of therapy there are out there, and most type of lifestyle changes that I thought at that time were all I could do. Um, but really and truly, it sparked not only a friendship, but a path to a completely different life.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like I do have, it's one of the ads that I do have out there on Facebook. And it's interesting because I get some negative comments on it of people just pretty much telling me I'm full of
Mm,
crap and it's horrible. And I usually dig in. I first check your profiles to find out if you're a responder. If you are, then I'm like, okay, obviously you've been trying tons of things and they haven't been working and you're frustrated and
yeah,
like
yeah,
this woman's just talking out of her butt, like, and all of that. If it's somebody who's not, and it's just hate mail, and I usually just ignore it or block them. But with your situation, I still respond that too. And I remember in that where I had said, we talking? You had said, well, it's different here in the UK. And I said, no, in North America, I'm like, our suicide rate for officers is ridiculous. And my goal is to be able to help that. I don't help with the mental side, I help on the physical. But I'm to
yeah,
help
of
that. And
course.
you said that you might be a statistic, one of those statistics. And I remember
Mm,
that day.
mm,
I stopped everything. I said to my husband, I'm like, I need to go deal with this. I have some connections in the UK and I was pulling out all of them, like, hey, where are the traumas? Where are the crisis? Where's the PTSD? Crisis units for first responders. And I got on it. I'm like, okay, message this, and this. And I think that's where we got you.
mm.
That was our bond in the beginning. And I was like, I am not letting this one go on my watch. And that's my
No,
thing. I'm
that was
like,
wonderful. That really
and
was.
that's where too, like we kept in touch for a while and you were trying some of those other therapies and stuff, but or trying, you had a colleague that was working with one of those groups and you guys got together and started working out, being more active, talking more, doing things. And
That's right. That's right.
um and you were still going through quite a few ups and downs, which still are, but you couldn't get yourself out of them then.
No, it was a very negative spiral.
Mm-hmm.
Once I started to go down, it was I went down quite rapidly and was, like you say, was not able to get myself out of it,
Yeah.
um, because I was living in the past and living in the PTSD, um, you know, and then that is a very negative spiral in itself. But you add other things on top of that, and you know, training wasn't so good, and general life in general wasn't as good as it could be, because every sort of day or so. I was up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
But you know, with the stuff that we've talked about and that I've read on the group, you know, and implemented myself, I can see now the worth of all of what you do.
Yeah.
You know, it really is wonderful how you reach out to all these people who are first responders, EMS, fire, police, ambulance, because there isn't really that much over here in the UK for these people. I mean, it's better, a lot better now. When I joined, there was absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But now, I think you mentioned the suicide rate, and you know, that's become quite prevalent over in the UK as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, things are starting to change. You know,
Yeah.
but certainly inspired by yourself. Um, you know, it's taken a long time, but you know, slowly the tide is turning.
Yeah. And the thing is, and you know, like I'm all about everybody being honest. So let's really be honest about this one. In the first bit, when you heard, oh, I only work with the physical, I don't do the mental. Um, what did you think?
Wow, because I've tried most things out there. I've tried EMDR, I've tried CBT, and you know, I was on a cocktail of medication. I was thinking, well, what is this about? You know, what difference will I don't know, chewing slowly, or taking my time over my food, or just taking care of my gut? I mean, how was that going to benefit me mentally?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it wasn't until I thought, do you know what? I've tried everything else. Give this woman a try. She's trying to help me. I've got to do something to get myself out of this negativity. Um, that I really had my first victory really when we were talking about drinking water and how that would help. And I always thought, oh, I'll drink when I'm thirsty, but it's about keeping that balance. And that's when I started to really think, God, actually, this woman knows what she's on about. And I was fully converted to your program.
Yeah. And the thing is that's the thing is you guys are fed from the beginning that this is all mental. But as you're learning that with PTSD, of which is not, I'm just going to say that's not my specialty. Mine is the physical stress system. It doesn't matter. PTSD, moral injury, compassion fatigue. Yes, there is a mental component to it, of which we'll dig into, of you starting to make success in that realm as well.
Mm.
But the thing is with all of them, your physical stress system is taxed. And if your
Yeah,
physical stress system, there's lots of research done into the nervous system with PTSD and how certain nerves are shutting down, certain nerves aren't working, certain nerves are overfiring. That starting to teach you to control that stuff physically and start fixing the repair that the physical stress system
yeah,
requires
yeah,
allows you, which I know you have totally found, allows you the brain power, allows you that your brain fog starts clearing, you get more motivation and drive, you get more energy, your sleep starts improving. And then, which is where we've gotten to with you, where you are now back in PTSD therapy. And
yeah,
um, it sucks because
yeah.
you're
You're not
now
wrong.
again talking about the crap, talking about all of the traumas, and we're not going to be talking about the traumas that happened to Simon today because he still has a lot of flashbacks and there's a lot, and we don't want to get him into that realm. But I just, with that, you're now able to actually process them in your therapy with your therapist,
Yes,
um,
that's right.
because you have tools and you have more energy and brain power to do it, to make it through those therapies successfully now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's the physical side now I recognise now is so important
Hmm.
because had I been in that negative spiral and engaged in therapy, the therapy just wouldn't work. It wouldn't
Yeah.
have worked.
Yeah.
Although it's unpleasant talking about all these things, what I'm finding now is that, yeah, it feels bad, but the particular therapist that I have at the moment is sort of, you know, making me see the other side. Whereas I was trapped in guilt and survivor guilt and negative thoughts about my own performance. Um, Now I've got the tools to be able to get myself out of difficulties. I can go deeper into those things and really explore them, and then process it properly,
Yeah.
as opposed to when I had therapy in the past of just paying lip service to it.
Yeah.
Um, and because I was in that brain fog, that difficulty eating, sleeping, all those other things that go with it. It's a plethora of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's really made a huge difference being able to feel physically better to be able to process the mental.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's the thing is getting people to understand is it's not like a one-stop shop depending on where you're at. I do have some people that come into me that are at a stage that only need the the physical aspect, but I will still say that going to therapy once in a while in order to keep yourself in check, in order to keep it going, is more of a maintenance phase than if they choose to go that route. But then those that come to me with PTSD, with all of that, who were struggling before with therapies and making process or progress, or they got to a certain
Mm,
point but just couldn't get past that point, getting that physical
yeah,
side is sometimes that missing piece.
yeah, and I think that was where I was. That was the point I was at.
Yeah.
I was doing therapy, but I wasn't really into the therapy. I had it as soon as I came out of the police service for about 18 months. The problem I had is the therapist wasn't specifically for traumas, and some of the things I would say would leave her shocked and not able to deal with it. So it was, and where I was physically, I wasn't able to deal with that because I was reaching out for help and it was just like not there. Um, and other testing times as well, like with the lockdown, I found that very difficult at first, very, very
Yeah.
difficult. And, you know, obviously, doing the program and facing those adversities head on as opposed to trying to sort of dodge them, the drinking water, the breathing, which is especially beneficial for me,
Hmm.
which I hadn't experienced before. Um, all those tools in my toolbox, I was able to deal with all the unpleasant, all the negativity that's been directed towards the police and the governments and what have you. That now washes over me because I can deal with it.
Yeah. So when we started working together just before COVID, I believe. And then
That's
when
right.
COVID hit, you started having catastrophic thoughts. Was it every 3 to 4 minutes?
Oh God, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You were in this spiral and it got you to a point where you almost where you where you just you couldn't handle it anymore. It almost got you to that point again. Um,
yeah,
but we were able to, through pulling out all the tools and stuff, in a month. I think it took us a month to get you to where you were only having 2 to 3 a day, and it took
that's
you
right.
2 to 3 minutes to get out of them now, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
where are you at now? Are you still having them in the day, or like 2 to 3, or?
No, no. I mean, I'd go so far as to say now that if I do have a catastrophic thought, it's once every couple of days, if that.
Yeah.
And now I can recognise when I'm having them. I
Yeah.
just think, right, okay, what's going to be what is going to be the best thing get me out of it.
Yeah.
Might be a bit of breathing, might be even be a bit of yoga, or going out in the garage and hitting the punch bag, or just you're just being with my children, and because my youngest is 3, and she's wonderful. She's a wonderful distraction because I can involve myself in her world. Um, one of these things that I didn't have before. Um, I'm not saying I'm better, but I'm a lot better than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I recognise I've still got goals to achieve and things to overcome,
Oh, yeah.
but now I've got all those things behind me. COVID was a horrible thing to happen to the whole world, and it really struck with me because I was having catastrophic thoughts over the safety of my children. Um, and I've learned now over the last couple of weeks, whenever those thoughts come, to do one of those things, and the thoughts now just go away.
Yeah.
I can deal with life,
Yeah.
whereas life was the one thing that was really beating me down,
Yeah.
was just being alive and facing adversities, because I had PTSD. We were first diagnosed in 1997, so it's a long time to live under that cloud.
Yeah. So
Um,
97, we're talking 23 years.
that's right. Yeah,
So
23 years
23
ago.
years, and we've been working together since February, March, right? February, March. So we're
That's right. Yeah, that's
April.
right.
So 4 months. We've been working together just over 4 months, and you've already gone from where you can get yourself out of catastrophic thoughts, where you're living in today, where you're actually participating in a lot of things with your kids, and you're actually starting to do things outside of your house and have a life again.
That's right. This is giving me back the skills I need to
Yeah.
be a dad, a husband,
Yeah.
not just a police officer anymore, although that was a big part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've learned to accept that, that part is over, and I just dealing with life in general has become so much easier.
Yeah. And I know, like, when we started 4 months ago, there was no way that you would have been even considered possibly being able to work again. And now you're not there yet, but you're actually starting to consider it, that it's actually even a possibility.
Yeah, that's right. I'm very much of a frame of mind now that, I don't think I'll ever go back into the world of high pressure work that I was in before. But I've looked at things like over here, they've got the volunteer driver scheme in the police service to drive police officers from one place to another, or pick up exhibits, or drive officers to court. Being back into that world, that I was so comfortable in.
Mm-hmm.
That has become a possibility now. Whereas before it was like, oh my God, I can't face anything to do with the police. It's all bad, it's all terrible. I've managed to sort of drag myself out of that.
Yeah. And we've also been talking too, once your lockdown is over too, is possibly looking into EMDR again, because before, your stress system was so taxed that it makes sense as to why EMDR wouldn't work. Like, none
Mm,
of the nerves were firing, nothing was connecting. That
that's right.
we've wondered, you and I have been questioning, what if you were to try EMDR again once the quarantine is lifted?
Well, yeah, I've heard so many positive things about it, and
Yes.
like say, the last time I tried it was several years ago
Mhm.
when I was in service, and my body and my brain and my system was so low that, like you say, it was never going to work. It
Yeah.
was never going to work back then because things just weren't right.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a real, it's looking like a real possibility that I can explore that again and
Yeah.
perhaps get positive results out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing as well is like you're only 4 months into the program and it's a 12-month program. So we're still digging into systems and getting them, like we're still working on, like the breathing is the base of your nervous training, right?
Mm.
And so
Yeah.
we've gotten into some advanced things, but we haven't, I don't even think we've gotten into the snoring and sleep apnea part of the nervous
No,
training.
not yet. Not
Yeah, we haven't
yet.
even gotten into that. Like there's so many different aspects of it when we get into more of the advanced nervous training. The gut stuff too. We've just touched the surface on gut. Um, just starting to get your system going where your acids are starting to produce. We haven't even actually just started testing your acids. So
No,
you haven't
haven't
even
no.
got your acids on track, but you're already noticing a slight change in your digestion on some things that we've done. Like you've just the beginning, like we're just the first 4 months is really just getting that base. And that base already has made such a difference for you that you're living again.
Yeah, absolutely. And that there you go. That's the point I would emphasize. It's having my life back from where it was before, where it wasn't in the present, it was in
Yeah.
the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now I'm very much in the moment where it
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah. And you're thinking of a future again.
Yes, yeah. That's the real possibility for me now. You know, having just being part of society again. Whereas when I left the service, I thought I'd never do that again. I basically just hid away
Yeah.
because I couldn't deal with it. But now it's a complete reversal of that. You know, just having a life again is just wonderful.
Yeah. It's amazing. All right. So before we sign off on this, is there anything that you want to say to anyone that's listening to this who is struggling or in a place where you are where you know you don't feel that there's a future, where you don't feel that there is anything after being on medical leave? If what would you say to somebody? Is there any advice, any thoughts that you would like to give in parting here?
Yes, I would. I would say to those people, you know, I have been where you are, and I know exactly how bad it feels. But you don't have to live that way. You don't have to be a slave to either PTSD or whatever is ailing you. You know, there is a way out. There is very simple things you can do, which will make such a big difference. You know, I was, several times I've been staring down the barrels of a gun, thinking, you know, what next? Um, but just all I would say is just reach out, because there are people there. There's you there.
Yeah.
You know, all the wonderful work that you do for first responders and police officers, and you know all the amazing things that can be achieved. You know, it's funny really, because I had a message from a friend of mine last night who I haven't spoken to for some years, and I know he was going through difficulties, and he reached out to me and said, look, you know, I'm having these horrible thoughts and all this and all that, and I've been treated really badly by the police service. And I said to him, look, I am the first step. All you do now is reach out to all those people that can help you. Reach out. Don't be an island. You don't, because you can be a slave to it. Don't be a slave to it. You know, just like I say, just reach out, and the help is there.
Yeah. Thank you. And that's it. Like you've reached out and you're at the point in your healing now where you have the energy and bandwidth to even start helping others now. And that's the compound effect. And that's my thing is if I can help one of you, then I know that you know enough others that need help that you can start guiding them and helping them to find the answers. So
Yeah, indeed.
let's just keep going with it. Well, thank you so much, Simon. And
My absolute pleasure, mate.
I really am so excited to see where the next 8 months takes us.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll definitely have to come back if you're okay with it and give like a report as to how you're doing along the road as well, maybe in another 4 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.